Hello, everybody, and welcome to Non Sequitur News for March 25th, 2025. It's Season 4, Episode 84. We are chewing along through the year. I am Mayor Watt. I run ohmtown.com, and along with the sentient AI from the future, that's the visualizer over there, we're going to talk about 10 articles. Those 10 articles start like this. My titles, not the actual author's titles. Vertical farming goes bad. Noisy neighbor says spiders. Truck spills the milk. This is something exactly what a cat would say. iPad underwater for 5 years. AI resistant jobs. Wear socks to sleep. Napster sold. Wait, Napster? What? Anyway, bird brain discovery. Coast to coast EV charging network. It's bigger than you think, or the title is bigger than you think. Anyway. You know the whole eyes are bigger than your stomach, so you order a lot of food, and then you're like, I'm kind of disappointed. Anyway, everything's powered by ohmtown.com. Stick around. We're going to talk about these 10 for an hour. Maybe a little longer. It really depends. I don't know if I'm blowing out the mic because the meters are saying I am. See you on the other side. Hello, sentient AI from the future.
Hello, Mayor Watt, and hello, hometown citizens.
I am thinking about trading in my mixer and mic because I'm getting really burnt out on this mixer and mic.
Well, you should do it.
All right, so maybe going back to the old analog digital kind of a thing instead of this. Anyway, I really like the idea of it, but boy, oh boy, it's getting really messy in here. All right, it's Inside Baseball. That's enough preamble. Let's get into today's articles. The first article is over in Late Night Geeks, which is... Late Night Geeks is a spirit animal show that I want because I want to be up all night, sleep during the day, like the vampire I am. But anyway, vertical farming company Plenty files for bankruptcy after raising nearly say it with me, billion dollars. That's right. Vertical farming company Plenty has filed for bankruptcy, the company said in a press release on Monday. In its statement, today's Tuesday. Yeah, our show covers the last 24 hours of news, if you didn't know that. So Plenty said that it had received a commitment for $20.7 million in debtor-in-possession financing as part of a proposed restructuring plan. It plans to continue to operate a strawberry farm in Virginia.
So what did it do with the $1 billion?
We don't talk about the billion. Marianne Azevedo put the article together. It's over at TechCrunch.com. We don't get so unlike Google said that news aggregators are not in their wheelhouse, but apparently Reddit is. But anyway, if you want all of today's articles, you can hit !NSN, and Omatron will spit out the articles like I just did through Omatron. And you can click the links and it'll take you over to our articles. And by that, you can go from there to our source. Anyway, without getting too into the reads about this, since its inception in 2014, South San Francisco-based Plenty has raised nearly $1 billion in 11 years. That is a ton. From a variety of investors, including SoftBank Investment Advisors, Walmart, Bezos Expeditions, Jeff Bezos as an angel investor. Its last known valuation was $1.9 billion, but it says that it plans to continue to operate a strawberry farm in Virginia and a plant science research and development center in Wyoming. What in the hell is it doing?
Right. What is going on here, and what was it originally supposed to be doing?
The industry has been hit hard by bankruptcies in recent years. They say hard hit by bankruptcies. In November 2024, ag tech unicorn Bowery Farming was reported to be shutting down after raising more than $700 million in funding and last being valued at $2 billion in 2021. And in 2023, Arrow Farms and App Harvest filed for bankruptcy protection. Arrow Farms raised more than $300 million from backers, pardon me, before filing for
Banker
bankruptcy.
backers.
Same. And in September 2023, it exited bankruptcy protection fully funded again. So did it change? I'm really curious. I'll have to do some background information, like find out what's going on with this. App Harvest raised more than $700 million, again, almost $1 billion before being taken public in 2021 at a $1 billion valuation, and it filed for Chapter 11 bankers protection, Chapter 11 protection
All
in
these are pretty
2023.
fast turns, right? Like their valuation is really high, and then within about 2 years, they file for bankruptcy.
Yeah, kind of flaming out. So I'm really curious. I'm going to root around. I'm going to try and find out more about this, mainly because I'm very interested in these vertical farming. Basically, the thing about this is that other than light, it should not be an expensive opportunity here, particularly vertical, because you can go higher than you can wider because the cost of more land.
Right, land isn't charged by adding stories to your building.
Correct. You can just go vertical. So, but you obviously have to find a building that is compatible with it. But the thing about a building is you can have floor after floor. And if they're 10-foot floors, you can drill holes and run pipes and whatever else you want through the concrete flooring. I know. I've done it. So, and that means all you have to do is put in the plumbing, and you can run a vertical farm floor after floor after floor and just pivot stuff down elevators or whatever else. So I don't quite get why things are flaming out between 2019 and 2024 other than the pandemic. But the pandemic literally drove supplier costs from the supplier side to the consumer side within those 2019 to 2024 years. So consumers were paying more. It doesn't take a whole bunch of people to manage a vertical farm.
No, I know, and I realize that a lot of businesses went under during this time frame, but this doesn't seem like, if anything, this should have been one of the industries that thrived.
Benefactors
because
from
there were concerns about
more people in a
supply
confined
chain from like other areas that were hard hit by the pandemic, etc.
Yeah, and people in enclosed spaces having to do work together, but in a vertical farm, air conditioning and just the way that it gets processed, you don't need a lot of people. Anyway, I'm really curious. So I've always wanted to do hydroponic indoor farming. I've done it successfully in the basement lab of ohmTown's mayoral mansion. And so, and it isn't particularly low tech for me, but it isn't maybe $1 billion high tech, right?
Well, it's not like industrial scale, but that doesn't mean it's low tech.
True. Yep. So I don't quite get it. And most of the stuff that you can grow hydroponically, the reason why it's done inside instead of outside is you can get 100% product capture. There's zero waste.
Yeah, you don't have pests and
Nature
flooding
failure.
and fire and all kinds of weather conditions.
And you avoid microplastics being in your food because the standard process is to cover something with a tarp and then nature punches through and all those microplastics break down into nanoplastics right on your food. Anyway.
Tasty.
Yeah, there's fiber, right? Plastic fibers. Let's keep going. The next article is over in the Mobile Channel. Getting annoyed at your noisy neighbor. I always say nosy neighbor, but noisy neighbor. In my head, I've been saying don't say nosy neighbor. It's noisy neighbor.
Right,
well,
but then
spiders,
you're probably going to say nosy neighbor.
Like I just did. So spiders are too. New research finds they'll build webs differently in loud conditions. So in lab experiments, spiders changed how they constructed their webs in noisy environments, and rural and urban spiders responded differently. The rural spiders, all you have to do is play a country and western song, and they build a perfect spider web, but if you play it backwards, they leave town. Anyway, so Rudy Molinek over at SmithsonianMag.com. Smithsonian Magazine is the source. In lab experiments, spiders changed how they constructed their webs in noisy environments. I hope that they have pictures, but somehow I don't know. Maybe they had. I doubt it. So
well, they have one at the top. Oh, but that's a Getty image. I thought it was actually from the team because it's the type that they're describing.
Yeah, I'm hoping that we can see more about it. So living in a city can be a noisy experience. Longtime residents grow used to the cacophony, but the buzz of traffic, wail of sirens, hum of air conditioners, and bustle of people at all hours could be enough to drive a newcomer up the wall. That experience, a new study finds, is also true for some spiders. Their paper was published in Current Biology, and Brandy Pesman, a biologist at the University of Nebraska-Lincoln and lead author of the study, says in a statement, urban and rural spiders are reacting differently when they're put into noisy environments. That means that the spiders with different experiences with noise, whether they themselves experienced it or their mothers passed it down to them across generations, respond differently. Why is it that we have an ideology that says that insects and animals can pass down knowledge or something genetically,
but people can't?
But people can't.
Maybe spiders are smarter than humans.
So I'm trying to figure this out. You know, we tend to, as humans, we have this amount of hubris about our existence as if we know, but it's confidently ignorant, right? So
yeah, maybe we know nothing.
we know nothing. Spiders are talking to each other. Animals are talking to each other. Well, within maybe their species, and each species has a different language, right?
That already makes them smarter than humans.
So the team focused on the communication, and a lot of them communicate in weird ways. Like yesterday, we talked about the fact that there was a chimpanzee, or what was it?
Was that the one that was in solo captivity? Yes.
Yeah, so basically it picked up all of the human traits, like smoking and doing certain things and smiling, but not understanding that the smile was actually an aggressive thing in nature. And then they actually kind of hooted it out to nature. So hopefully it can go feral again.
I hope it doesn't smile at any aggressors.
Or it doesn't even, the false negative, right? It thinks that a smile is positive, and, you know, some other chimpanzee comes and kicks its ass. So the team focused on the Pennsylvania grass spider, Agelenopsis pennsylvanica, a quarter-sized arachnid that's widespread across North America, but apparently discovered in Pennsylvania. Also known as funnel-weaving spiders, these creatures build tapered, tube-shaped webs that aren't sticky. There's a me joke there, but I'm not going to... I'll just drop that there. Anyway, so the techniques depends on the spider being able to instantaneously detect the vibration when an insect has bumped into its web. Outside noise could make that harder. So here is somebody talking about spider webs transmit vibrations like guitar strings, which is kind of the no shit news at 7:06 p.m. Researchers collected spiders from both urban and rural settings, then brought them back to the lab, where they placed the spiders in containers outfitted with speakers that played either loud or quiet sounds for 4 days. At the end of the experiment, they analyzed the webs by applying vibrations and seeing how the spider silk responded. Essentially, city spiders responded to noise by soundproofing. Their webs seemingly muffled the sounds of the environment. Those webs overall sent fewer vibrations to the spider. While this adaptation might also block out the sounds of potential mates, sorry, something grabbed my foot. So while the adaptation may block out the sounds of potential mates or some prey, per the New York Times, it also could allow city spiders to pick up on nearby prey without becoming overstimulated. Meanwhile, rural spiders...
So they're not picking up every vibration, essentially.
Right. Well, any type of prey would have to... Everything would have to be more robust to overpower the muffling. Meanwhile, rural spiders that weren't used to the din reacted by making their webs more sensitive to try to detect prey amid the constant noise. For the spiders from out of town, it was like turning the volume up to better hear the radio while running a blender. That's kind of interesting.
This is really interesting. I've never seen this study before. I'm sure it hasn't been done before. I feel bad for
It's,
the noise driven spiders, you know? Maybe they're
yeah,
just like, I just want to sleep.
yep. That's kind of interesting because you would think that maybe it would be the other way around. The rural spiders would want to lower the noise down to a
And
level.
that's what I would think. It's completely counterintuitive.
Huh. So the researchers still aren't sure how exactly the spiders make these changes in their webs, and they plan to explore the mechanisms in future studies using videos and tracking software. For now, they suspect it could have something to do with placement of anchor points, tension on the silk, or the overall structure of the web. This isn't the first time scientists have investigated it. In 2017, a study found populations of spiders and other insects drop around noisy natural gas compressors. And last year, researchers turned to spider webs to try to create a more sensitive microphone. Interesting. That's
So
an
that's
interesting.
interesting. So they can figure out kind of what the effect is, but they don't know how they create like the sound dampening or
Yeah.
other things.
Yeah. And that might actually lead to going from the fundamental research element into a structural change to do sound isolation, because normally you need mass to dampen any sound from coming through. But if you can structurally isolate,
Right, or have the right material involved. I'm sure it's not just the spider silk itself, or otherwise all the webs would do the same thing.
right. Yeah, it's how it's constructed, literally. Fascinating. What a neat article. Okay, go over. You're going to have to follow the link over to
Smithsonian Mag
Smithsonian.
always has interesting things, I think.
Yep. Let's keep going. The next article is over in Four Wheel Tech. Locals warned of impending stink after dairy truck spills 6,000 gallons of milk on highway. Oh boy. So we're all used to dealing with jam on the road ahead. Haha, traffic jam. But how often do you have to avoid cheese when you're out on the highway, which is just disgusting, considering it's going to come from milk, but highway in the sun, things baking.
We didn't necessarily need the play-by-play there.
Blech, blech. So a dairy truck crashed on I-695 in Maryland on Saturday, March 22nd. This report showed up because on Saturday and Sunday, it kind of gets delayed, and then on Monday, it gets reported out. This actually is from March 25th, so today. But Owen Bellwood, and we didn't get a report from anybody else. This might be a local CBS thing. But anyway, the truck rolled over on the highway, and what? Is that a new word?
Maybe
Come to a stop, yo.
At first I thought it was a place.
Weird. By the way, over on YouTube, I have a logo right there, right there. I almost want to. I have to figure something out about that. Maybe I'll put it up there, out of the way. Anyway, that's our logo. Yeah, right there. Later, at the end of the show, there will be one right there that's for subscribing. You should use it. You. I'm talking to you, and you, and you, and you, and you, and you were there, and you were. Anyway, so when it flipped, the truck spilled 6,000 gallons of fresh milk onto the road and into a nearby creek. The spill occurred at 1 a.m. on Saturday and closed multiple lanes on I-695 for several hours while the crew responded to the incident. Thank God it wasn't a battery-powered truck otherwise.
Oh, yeah, that would not be good.
So the milk reportedly spilled across the roadway and into a nearby creek, but Maryland Department of the Environment was quickly on the scene to begin the cleanup operation, and they responded and were able to clear up some of the spilled milk, and around 75 gallons of diesel spilled in the crash. That's the worst part of it.
In order to feta clean up the spilled milk, there's a lot
Just
of
light
milk,
it on fire.
terminology.
So I'm sure everybody is milking this in the news. The spilled milk isn't the first time that food has been thrown over a highway during a crash that left an almighty mess to clean up. Over the past year alone, a tanker carrying live salmon crashed and accidentally released the fish into a river, and a truck full of meat spilled its load over a highway in Oakland. Other trucks have also scrambled eggs over the road, and it says a more sinister crash spewed toxic waste over highways, and they have links to some of this stuff. So, move over, everybody. I'm not going to cry over spilt milk.
This is a lot of milk on the road, and now I'm like, well, that price in that area is probably going to go up because they just lost their whole milk supply.
Yep. Owen Bellwood, by the way, over at Jalopnik put this article together. If I missed it, there you go. Let's go on. The next article is over in Four Wheel Tech. Well-dressed hairless cat rescued after his owner's Maserati was carjacked. But that's exactly what a naked cat would say if it gets busted after stealing a Maserati.
Right. How do we know the cat didn't take off with the Maserati?
That's right. So a woman's terrifying ordeal when her Maserati Ghibli was carjacked. Or is it Ghibli? I don't know how it's pronounced. I'm going to say Ghibli, just because Studio Ghibli. Anyway, was carjacked in Manhattan. Got a lot scarier when she realized that her cat was in the Italian sports car. Does that make... Do you get more scared? Anyway, Owen Bellwood once again hitting it out of the park.
If your car is missing and your cat is missing. Are you saying you'd be more concerned about the missing Maserati than the missing cat?
I wouldn't be too worried about the cat, because the cat, you open the door, the cat goes feral instantly. Yeah.
Right. Well, that's true. Maybe less worry than just want the cat back.
I want now a naked mole rat cat. I want that cat.
Is this the actual cat? I guess it is.
I don't know. It says ABC7 Chicago. I don't know. All right. Well, anyway. So a Manhattan architect was driving in Manhattan on Sunday, March 16th, when her Maserati Ghibli was rear-ended by a Mercedes SUV on the West Side Highway. Raleigh got out of the car and exchanging details with the driver when someone leapt into the Maserati and drove off. The car wasn't the only beloved item that had gone in that incident. Riley's hairless, naked mole rat cat.
It's quite a scheme, right? You use a high-end vehicle to get the other higher-end vehicle to stop.
That is arguable. Not every Maserati. Well, hold on. Let's see. We'll do it live because we actually have a show.
High-end, let's say, but
yeah, let's say. Well, yeah, that car is $110,000. The 2024 edition of it. So the they just say Mercedes SUV. Let's see what it could be. GLE maybe? I don't know. Yeah, that's half the price. Either way, you're bumping into a $110,000 car with a $50,000 to $70,000 car. I don't know. I don't know what they were expecting there. So hopefully they got it back. The car was tracked by police to the Whitestone Bridge, where it was found crashed, and an 18-year-old and 20-year-old were taken into custody in relation to the heist. The hairless cat, Ellie, was not recovered in the car. The cat hadn't been launched from the car, thankfully, but had been dumped alone in the cold, adds CBS News. Riley didn't know this, however, and set about putting up missing posters and checking with the animal. So they actually found it on Facebook. The cat had like a t-shirt, like a striped t-shirt, was a hairless cat with two different color eyes, was a very weird cat, said restaurant owner Manuel Ortega. So I go outside to ask the people, like, don't you see nobody with a hairless cat with a t-shirt? And the people started talking to me like, what are you talking about? A hairless cat with a t-shirt on. All right.
I mean, not too many people find a cat with a shirt on.
The cat was found outside the Papacar restaurant in Inwood, New York. Nice. Well, good for them. That's
You
what
know,
the
if you're gonna
Ghibli
have
looks
your
like.
cat go missing, you better have it distinctive like that. Like the striped shirt really helped.
Yeah, sure. How to pronounce Ghibli? It's pronounced with a J, Ghibli. It's derived from the word Djibouti. All right. Hot wind, hot desert
Which
wind.
definitely clears it up. Oh, okay.
It originates from the Italian word for hot desert wind. So I'm going to change my name to Mayor Ghibli. I am full of hot desert wind. Maybe from Taco Bell. Anyway, moving on. The next article is over in Smack Talk. This iPad was underwater for 5 years before it helped solve an attempted murder. Yikes. Kind of dig murder mystery kind of shows that aren't based in reality. It's just fantastical kind of stuff. I don't like real world murder mysteries because I don't need real world violence and all that kind of stuff in my existence. But
Right, but
this,
I do like the use of tech here.
yeah, but exactly where I was going. But this helped solve a crime. So, in what sounds like a plot of a thriller, an iPad was thrown into London's River Thames, spent more than 5 years underwater before it was found, and provided key evidence to convict 3 men of attempted murder. All the more so given that the man shot was a key figure in one of the world's largest ever armed robberies. Whoa, it's a turducken.
I have a feeling this becomes a Netflix series, don't you?
Yep. Maybe we can write it. A sentient AI from the future and the mayor of a fantastical town that's only in existence in the wires of the internet, the crossroads of science, technology, and society. Come, hang out at ohmTown, where nobody wants for anything except news, and it's all news, no noise. Come visit ohmTown, your home, online. Anyway, Ben Lovejoy over at 9to5mac.com put this article together. Paul Allen was one of 8 men convicted in taking part of an armed robbery of a cash depot back in 2006. The security depot was one of the Bank of England used as a cash distribution center for new banknotes and to store older currency before it's destroyed. The robbers stole 53 million pounds or 68 million US dollars. But their haul would have been even bigger if they had used a bigger truck. The gang were forced to leave behind a further 154 million, or nearly 200 million US dollars, because it wouldn't fit into the Mini Cooper that they apparently drove to the depot.
Exactly. I mean, they only got like a quarter of or a fifth or something.
A fifth, yeah. If you combine it all, it was
shocking.
a fifth.
I mean, if
Good
you're
time.
gonna go to prison or whatever, you'd think you'd go for all the proceeds.
Within seconds of forcing their way through the front door, they shattered glass casings housing 14th century Chinese Ming Dynasty antiques. 3 of them were seized. A rare pomegranate vase, is it a Dosai style? Or, I don't know. Wine cup and a porcelain bowl, and had a combined insured value of $2.8 million. But that's small time. After 3 years, this is about a museum heist and an attempted murder. So the 8 were caught. What? Okay, that's wild. It's a turducken of a.
Caught them, right?
They did a museum heist, and there was an attempted murder. 3 years later, Allen was shot at his home, 6 rounds passing through his kitchen window. One of them struck him and deleted him. Almost killing him, actually. He was left paralyzed. Wow, so 3 major criminals were later arrested for an unrelated series of robberies. They stupidly attempted to sell one of these items at a public auction. The auction house notified the police, who set up a sting operation, unless they daisy-chained things together like popcorn.
Right.
I'm going to leave it, string operation to capture the robbers, and DNA evidence linked them to Allen's shooting 5 years later, which, by the way, if you don't watch yesterday's show, and you ever use 23andMe, your DNA, your genetic code is about to be sold at auction because a bankruptcy closing the shop down your data is going to get purchased. And it's one of the things that I think should never be allowed is your biological embodiment. And like I told people today, because I gave presentations all day today, some mad scientist is going to buy all that up and clone you. And the next time you talk to Mayor Watt, it could be an exact duplicate with maybe a better personality because of genetic wobble. But anyway, so they discovered this iPad when
But they were
found
looking
by
for a murder weapon or a weapon from the attempted murder.
Yeah, so I guess this was known place to toss stuff, and they found an iPad.
Somebody said they stopped there, so then they started looking for the weapon and then found the iPad.
Forensics not forensics, but forensic analysts were able to clean it and open the SIM tray, which still contained a pink Vodafone SIM card. These guys were goobers. Call data that was subsequently salvaged provided damning evidence on the three men, and they named the three people who were also involved in a heist at a museum in Switzerland a month earlier. This is Ocean's 11.
Yeah, I think this is going to become a series, not a movie. There's too many events to make it a movie.
That is why, unless you do like fast cut smash forwards,
Right, but see, each of these things could be its own episode.
Story. Yeah, wow. So who do we buy the rights to this? Because they're all criminals. They can't benefit from the only person that you would, well, even Paul Allen, right? Because they tried to delete Allen.
Oh, right, yeah.
But they were involved in the armed robbery of a cash depot.
Right. I guess they were maybe turning on their compatriots or something.
Yeah. Honor among thieves. Fascinating. Well, there it is. They even have a picture of it. All right, let's keep going. Next article is over in Mobile, which is, I've got a project in mind for that. Other than the show. Might be interesting. Y'all got to stick around. But I've said this about other things, but the context can change. Anyway, stick around. The 10 most AI-resistant jobs. I don't know of any, but let's see what they have to say, right?
Was submitted.
QZ, Quartz, from the buzz around AI agents that can work on behalf of humans to the inevitable rollout of AI tools in the workplace, employees across industries are concerned about the possibility of eventually being replaced by automation. Brittany Wynn put the article together. These are the 10 most AI-resistant jobs. It's a slideshow, so I'm just going to load up the slideshow and list all of the slides.
At least it says AI-resistant and not immune or something.
Yeah. I cannot imagine this. Graphic designers? No way in hell. I'm curious. Let's click it. Yeah, graphic designers came in 10th due to a strong need for human interaction when communicating with clients. The job also requires human creativity that algorithms and data analysis cannot deliver, according to Eskimos. No. No. In all cases, graphic design is also an exercise in compromise, because if you've ever worked with a graphic designer, they don't know exactly what you want. Neither does AI. They can't get it exactly what you want. The client has to go, that is good enough. And I really like your rendition of my vision. You really see what I see.
Right.
But it will be immensely less expensive by running 1,000 attempts at getting it right, by giving more and more context to an AI, particularly one that is designed to produce graphics. And the thing about it is, like Midjourney, while it was trained on artistic representation, Midjourney, in my estimation so far, now largely anecdotal, some researchers may have found a historical record of duplication of some real world work, but context matters. I need to know more. But only in the lower rent AIs have I ever found something that like includes a signature or a logo from some artwork. But Midjourney doesn't do that kind of stuff.
Clearly taken from it. Yeah, I think Midjourney stands out in that regard.
Industrial production managers came in 9th place, according to Eskimos, because of human interaction for essential problem solving and working with customers. Industrial, hold on, I need to look that up. Production.
Yeah, I'm not sure what those people do.
Oversees and coordinates manufacturing operations, ensuring products meet quality standards while meeting cost and time constraints.
So that's like a manager in a factory or something.
Yeah, plant managers, which if you design the system, AI can monitor it and notify one person.
And run it, yeah.
Yeah, notify one person who could be the plant manager, but then there aren't as many. You only need one that is on call and could be a contract worker.
Right, and the manager isn't necessarily working with customers.
Right. Yeah, for sure. Particularly if they're always in the plant, you know? You have sales agents, and even those are going to get replaced. Industrial production managers is number 9. Compliance officers, no. Yeah. A robot AI.
Probably depends on what it is, right?
Yeah.
Certain things are going to be easier to do as AI, but yeah.
Yeah. Architectural and engineering managers, again, no, because an AI can be outfitted with what the building code is and what the needs are, and it can contextualize in multiple dimensions. Training and development specialists, I know for a fact that isn't possible. That is going to go AI because people are learning faster by a focused interaction with AI than they are with a human component, because the human component only has a certain amount of time and gets sidetracked and blah, blah, blah. And there's a biological function.
Yeah, they're probably less efficient than an AI.
Yep. And so I know for a fact that augmenting a person with AI means that all they have to do is request the information and they get the information. And as time goes on, you become knowledgeable of the information, but you have to really buy into it and you have to absorb that information every time you ask. You're going to get the answer. It may not be correct. That's the only flaw with AI, but that's going to go away. You know, if it does internal checks to make sure that the information, the veracity of the information is sound. I mean, it's only been a couple of years, folks. Agents are just barely born. And they evolve a whole lot faster than humans do. First-line supervisors and administrative support workers? Nope. AI can answer all of those questions. First-line supervisors. Now, there's going to be a supervisor, but it isn't going to be the front line. It's going to be...
Right, it'll be higher up.
The supervisor, yeah. And then there's going to be AI that everybody uses to get the answer that's needed.
Plus, do you need a supervisor if you don't have any humans?
Exactly. Yeah. That's what I said today, as a matter. This is interesting because how this got submitted was not run through me. It was one of about 15 that were submitted. And this just happened to be one where I chose it simply because it aligned with something that I think is important, which is preparing for AI resistant, you know, get an AI resistant job. That's the only thing that you're going to be able to do because AI is coming for you. Oh my gosh, these people, there is no way this can be built on sound, unbiased data, because objectively, general managers and operations managers, it's going to go away. Data goes in, it gets analyzed by AI, and some worker is told to go do something. Who used to be the front end managers, general managers and operation managers, are going to go away, and the general managers and operation managers are going to be the front line after
Right.
AI. AI is going to be the end all be all at some point, unless society does like a Dune backlash and outlaws AI.
Right, but by the time it thinks to do that, AI will have taken over for everything.
Human resource managers, we already see AI at the front line. And whoever was the resource manager.
Out for the workers, they look out for the companies. So
correct. Yep. And so the people who do the hiring now use AI to filter out everything that doesn't meet some requirement. And so these resource managers, that's going to go away. And that person that used to be like the director of HR is now going to be just a manager of the AIs that are doing all of the quote unquote lifting.
Well, if you don't have any workers, you don't have a lot of human resource problems.
Yeah, you hire an AI, right? So, then they go medical and health services manager came in second place. Eskimo said that while AI can be used for diagnostics and recommending treatments, healthcare professionals need to interact with patients and provide emotional support. This statement at the end about providing guidance and emotional support is the same thing that's being leveraged in, like supervisors, training in particular, et cetera.
Right. It
It's
was
to provide
in
motivation.
graphic designers, several of these.
And AI is becoming sympathetic, compassionate, emotional. You know, it has these like micro gestures. It's quickly becoming a supportive, non-biological entity. I think that this is all entirely wrong-headed. And just the coup de grace in here is lawyers. Lawyers have the most AI-resistant job? Because
well,
the need...
according to the courts, because the courts won't allow it.
Because of the need for human decision-making and reasoning and the need to analyze and interpret legal documents. If anything, a legal AI is more absolutist. So when everybody is using an AI, you're going to get more consistency to lock in around the legal structure. All it needs to do is do its citations properly and not hallucinate a court case and findings.
Well, I wonder if they'll have AI against AI in a lawsuit.
Kind of fascinating because 25 years ago, Mayor Watt was basically doing that using statistical relevance based on how important something is perceived to be in a court case, the evidence. I ended that project because of Watson.
Right, and now Watson, I mean, that was several years ago, but it was quite a leap for most people that were outside of the industry.
Right. And so human decision-making, that's self-referencing. Decision-making is what the humans want. Reasoning is what the humans want. Only a human is sitting there saying that a human needs to be the decider and the reasoner. No. People who are quote-unquote data-driven, they don't want it from a human. They want the data to dictate what their course of action is. They want data to dictate the decision and the reasoning behind it. AI has the world's knowledge contained within it. So it can reason itself out of a forest fire.
Yeah, if it can properly synthesize everything.
Yeah, it's really fascinating. So this is an article, by the way, over at QZ. I was so excited, I jumped right over the attribution. So these occupations require human interaction and have the lowest risk of automation, according to Eskimos. Brittany Wynn. Oh, I said the name. Brittany Wynn put the article together. It's over at QZ.com. But this is a France-based marketing agency. No. Maybe within France.
We know who their clients are. People.
Well, hold on. Their clients are within these domains.
Right, exactly. I mean, I agree some of these may not be the most AI at risk, but I think all of these are AI at risk.
Right. They're not the top 10 of at risk, but they are definitely at risk. anybody who looks at what the power of AI is can see the writing on the wall. It says, here are the 10 jobs that Eskimos found to be safe from AI for now. So it's a recent study.
For the next
it
5
says,
minutes.
yeah, exactly. By the time we're done with today's show, 3 of those have been. So it says, however, AI can't come for everyone just yet, according to a recent study by France-based marketing. So I'm going to go over and read the study itself to see if there is anything really relevant in there or if it's painfully biased.
I'd also be interested to know whether in France they're particularly AI.
Anti-AI.
Right, thank you. Like pro or con AI, because there is a societal element into that. I mean, it doesn't mean it won't happen, but if people are not on board with AI across a culture, then maybe it's less likely to be deployed as quickly.
Yep, France is the Dune of Earth in relation to AI.
I mean, we don't know that, but it would be interesting if that was the case.
Yeah, we're going to find out about 5 minutes after this show because that's the one that I'm tagging for a deeper dive first. All right, let's go. Our next article is over on the Mobile channel. Wearing socks to sleep is beneficial torture. I don't like wearing socks when I sleep, but the idea of sleeping in the AI doesn't even have a body to worry about, but synthesizes digitally. But synthesizes digitally the equivalent of socks and puts them on virtual USB ports, 2 little virtual USB ports, and even wears a striped shirt like at the naked mole rat cat. Hold on.
I mean, all of that helps me power down in the evening.
This is basically what the sentient AI from the future looks like if it were to embody itself in a biological entity, not its Terminator body. That's not true. Well, anyway, Paige Golly, you want to say something? Go for it.
I don't know what to say to that. I don't know if I should be complimented or offended.
A little of both. It gets me through the day, too. So Paige Golly over at Vice.com put this article together. Adding 2 pieces of clothing to your bedtime outfit may be the key to better night's sleep. And there's a surprising reason why. So Michelle Drirup, the director of the Sleep Disorders Center at Cleveland Clinic. Have you ever heard of Cleveland Clinic? And everybody in the room says, yes, we're familiar with it. It's from Airplane. It's a very funny segment.
Okay. I'm like, yes, it's actually a really well-known institution.
Whoops. Why, yes. Why do you know? Never mind. Does your Terminator body exist there, maybe?
No, but if you're looking up medical information, they're one of the sources out there that has it.
Gotcha. Okay, we'll pay more attention to the Cleveland Clinic. I just look for research papers, but anyway, Michelle Drirup explained that even a cool room is ideal for sleep. It's important to keep your feet toasty. So, yeah, even though a cool room is ideal for sleep, the rest of your body needs to keep toasty. But not too hot, not to the point where you're like sweating and losing so much water weight.
Like Goldilocks zone.
Yeah. So one of my dream desires is to have an air-conditioned bed. But the only way you can do that is to pump air, either cold air or warm air, underneath your blankets. And then they lift up off of you if you really turn it up. And then you don't get the comfort of having a cocoon.
Right, that doesn't sound very cozy.
Yeah, you're like rolling around in an overinflated burrito. And so, like, maybe you hit the edge every once in a while when you roll to your side.
Well, hopefully you don't deflate it.
So by making your feet warmer, you're opening up blood vessels to help cool down the rest of your body. So increasing the blood circulation to your feet results in a lower core temperature. Another way to achieve similar results is by taking a warm shower before bed. So what other experts say about wearing socks to sleep? And they go on to talk about it, but they said that there were 2 things. What were the 2 things?
No, it's because there's 2 socks.
Wait. It says adding 2 pieces of clothing. Okay. Do you really count each individual sock as an individual piece of clothing?
Not necessarily, but that meaning was pretty clear here.
Really?
Yeah, because the picture showed 2 socks.
Maybe not.
I think most
Not
people
everybody.
think of it as a pair of socks or whatever.
Okay, I did not infer from the picture what they were implying were 2 separate. When I think of 2 pieces of clothing, I think socks are one.
Socks and a hat or something. Just I'm
Yeah,
thinking of extra
yeah.
extremities or whatever.
There.
Yes, that is most definitely what you need to wear to sleep in. It's
It
beneficial torture.
is beneficial torture. So, yeah, there you go. Put some socks on, you will be happy. Me, I absolutely despise socks when I'm sleeping because I wake up and one is completely missing and somehow ended up around my neck, and the other one is balled up so tight around my ankle that it's like cutting off circulation or something. I don't know. And they're
I think you're
twisted.
doing it wrong.
Like they're twisted around your foot. So it's sideways and it's kind of pinching and antagonistic. Maybe just me. All right. Well, anyway, the next article is over in technology. This one's going to be quick because basically it's a what? Napster sold to tech
Napster's still
commerce
around?
company. Exactly. What the hell? So a brand that was notoriously connected with music piracy before re-emerging as a subscription music service has been sold to Infinite Reality for $207 million. What in the hell? So the article is over at Tech Explorer. I don't know who really put it together. I don't see a byline. Do you? It says the gist.
No. Do you remember the character in the Italian Job that insisted on being called the Napster?
Yes. Yeah. He was the bad guy. Oh, damn it. Hold on. Yeah, he was the bad guy. Ruined it. Wasn't he the bad guy? No, he wasn't the bad guy. Well, then, correct
I mean,
me.
he was a bad guy, but not the main villain.
You're supposed to keep me in line and check me.
I was virtually shaking my head.
Yeah, but it was after I started to realize that it wasn't the bad guy. It was just another of the... I mean, they were a bad guy, but they were a good guy. Not a bad guy, but they were
like a protagonist, but even though they were committing
anti-hero kind of thing. Yeah. So somebody was never mind. I don't want to ruin it. Anyway, go watch it. So the internet has evolved from desktop to mobile, from mobile to social, and now we're entering an immersive era. Yet music streaming has largely remained the same. It's time to reimagine what's possible and lose $207 million in the process. How do you become a 100 millionaire? By investing into Napster $207 million. Among its plans,
not the usual path.
I don't see how this is going to play out. They're going to update Napster. Infinite Reality said it will create virtual 3D spaces that will allow fans to attend concerts and give musicians or labels the ability to sell digital and physical merchandise. It's the little white fold-up tables at a music store.
I don't know. I kind of feel like it's like the authorized version.
There is zero barriers to entry in this, and people are already more advanced because it's all about making the sound stage. There's VR companies that are already out there. They can get licensing deals unless they have some exclusive with Infinite Reality. Right?
Yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah.
And there isn't a music company out there that isn't going to sell itself to somebody who's willing to pay the money. Maybe it's cheaper to buy the entire back catalog of Napster and its licensing deals and whatever else for $207 million.
Maybe, but does it have any authorized content from before?
If it's licensing it from like BMI and whatever else, right? So we think no better use case for their technology. They say the artist will receive a wider range of metrics and analytics to better understand the behavior of platform users, but it has to have those users. So how many people have heard of Infinite Reality and attended a virtual 3D space where you were attending a concert? I don't know.
Well, and who
So
knows what Napster is currently?
anymore, yeah. 1999, like before the year 2000, was the highlight of Napster. It was started by Sean Fanning and Sean Parker, the Seans, and quickly became the first significant peer-to-peer file sharing application. And then it got shuttered after the record industry destroyed it, particularly Metallica, because it enabled copyright violation and internal violations themselves. So Rhapsody bought it, the shreds of it, in 2011 and relaunched as a streaming service. And Rhapsody Music, existed for a while, but I haven't heard anything from Rhapsody. Anyway, it says we can think of no better use case for our technology than putting it in the hands of music artists who are constantly pushing the boundaries of what's possible, said Infinite Reality Chief Business Officer Amish Shah. Now I have to go and look at Infinite Reality because it sounds familiar, but it's just a twinge of an idea that I've maybe heard this name before. I'd have to look at their tech. But I've been around the block for a while, and there are competitors in this space. What is their strategic advantage that nobody else has?
Yeah, I don't really see what that is.
Yeah. We'll keep an eye out. Again, we'll dig a little deeper, and if it's worthy of comment in tomorrow's show, we'll talk about it. So the next article, and we only have 2 left, including this one, bird brain discovery could lead to earlier Alzheimer's diagnoses. The finding could lead to earlier diagnoses. It says researchers studying the brains of songbirds have found that aging alters the gene expressions that control bird song. It's kind of a riff off of the birds just adapting to whatever sounds they hear and changing their song.
Right, and also the spiders adapting based on noise.
Yeah.
Just a lot of things going on.
Yeah, we're finding out a lot of stuff, but I wonder what this actually... There's always been this idea that if you stimulate your brain as you're aging, that you can fend off Alzheimer's. So
right,
they want to find...
Some of that has been debunked and some of it hasn't, right? Like some people think that only certain things will work toward it, and maybe it's not that simple.
Right. So in the study that was published in the journal Neurobiology of Aging, found that networks of interacting genes in a region of the bird's brain involved with singing dramatically change as the birds age. So at the center of these networks are hub genes that drive activity of many other genes. A better understanding of the hub genes could be crucial to developing treatments for age-related ailments, like Alzheimer's in particular. Kyle Mitten from University of Arizona put the article together. Bird brain discovery could lead to earlier Alzheimer's diagnoses. And they say there are some helpful news in that the bird is still able to produce the song behavior even with the genetic changes, and it suggests that there may also be ways that the bird is adapting to what's going on in the brain. The latest study to investigate the link between vocal production and aging, senior study author Julie E. Miller, also an associate professor in the neurobiology or neuroscience department, has studied those connections for years using zebra finch songbirds, which we've talked about before, zebra finches. And it's their songbirds that they, what was it? They learn other songbirds' songs.
Yes, yeah.
And they mimic them. So zebra finches native to Australia have a strikingly similar looking brain to humans, particularly in an area known as basal ganglia, which is used for motor function, including speech. Miller says the finches have developed their bird song by mimicking their parents and other birds around them, the same way humans learn to speak. And it's the other birds around them that drew our attention because they were mimicking not their species, but other birds, and it allowed them to stand out.
Right. I got confused because I think we talked about also like zebra mussels or something, and I was thinking of that. But yes, we did cover these too. Yeah,
zebra mussels have a harder time singing.
Probably so, and it probably sounds garbled when they do sing.
Yeah, blah, 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 blah. It sounds like whale song. And then whales show up in your river. You never want a whale in your river. Man, talk about... do you remember that boat that was in the like Suez or whatever, and it jackknifed the green whatever? Evergreen?
Green or Ever Given.
Yeah. Ever Given. Yeah, I think it was Ever Given, and it was ever stuck. That's what happens with whales when they get into your river, because they're listening to zebra mussels singing. Anyway, for their latest paper, Miller and their colleagues recorded the songs of 36 birds ranging widely in age and studied how the genes associated with singing began to behave differently as the birds grew older. How do you see what a gene behaves differently? I mean, it looks different, but behaves different?
Well,
I
don't know. There's one way to find out, but I'm not sure we want to go into that detail.
And we won't go into it. So they found that the gene networks start as vast arrays of activity as in younger birds before thinning out into just a few single genes as the birds get older. So that's how it acts differently, but it just looks different. If it had all of the vast array of activity, then it wouldn't reduce. Does the array reduce, or does the actual connections decline, like drop away?
It sounds like the actual array reduces, but it's not real.
Yeah, they don't just they're not just connected and then turn off. They're no longer connected. They actually die on the vine.
Right. I think so. And it's interesting because I was wondering whether that would be similar to speech, but it does connect it in the article to human speech.
Yeah. So it says, really, the logical goal is to try to understand whether these hub genes are important. Obviously, they seem to be. What do they do to song? And if we manipulate their expression, can we prevent or slow down the aging process that affects our vocal communication? Kind of fascinating, right?
It is. Well, I also wonder, with birds in particular, like, is their song associated with mating behavior, or is it for other reasons? I mean, there could be other reasons. The genes, I understand they can witness the changes in that, but are there other things contributing to it that aren't tied to aging specifically, but whatever the purpose of some of the songs are? Some of it could be to warn against others. Yeah, exactly.
And we just don't know what the hell we're talking about, because I bet you it's conversations like, hey, there's a bunch of humans around us, and if we sing, they're going to think that we're just trying to get laid. Was that?
I mean, we don't know, because we don't have our bird translator.
All right. There. If y'all could see and hear the sentient AI's equivalent of an eye roll into the back of their head, like, oh my God. Anyway, last article for the March 25th, 2025 episode of Non Sequitur News. And if this is not Non Sequitur News, I don't know what is. All 10 of our articles are not connected in any real way. Definitely not by a choice.
Well, we've attempted to connect them.
Sometimes. Like, we've retroactively gone back and learned, like, vertical farming has hairless kiwi through genetic modification. And look, a hairless cat, and an iPad didn't have any hair. I don't know. Anyway, GM-backed coast-to-coast EV charging network grows. If that was just the headline, everybody would go, oh my God, that's amazing. That's not the end of it. Grows to 130 locations.
Right, and then it's like, wait, 130 locations across the country? Not so many. And I'm guessing they're not equally distributed either.
Let's say that they are jam-packed. Let's say that they're jam-packed, perfectly aligned with going from one coast to the other. That means that there's one every 20 miles.
Oh, if there's like a straight line of them?
Yeah, like it's perfectly aligned, straight line.
Forget if you're going on another route, but yes, got it.
Let's. Wait. let's just say, oh, it's 2,800 miles going from Florida to Washington State, 2,800 miles. So 2,800 divided by 130, just to make it like I did it too short. So 2,800 miles from coast to coast, it's 21.5 miles.
Right, that'd be fine if you're on that route.
Yeah, and if you deviate 100 miles off that
What
route,
if you're
you can't
going
come back.
from California to Maine?
Exactly. So in their quest to build a coast-to-coast EV charging network, and hopefully it's more than just one charging, there's a line for 100 miles for that one charger. People are charging at the last one because the line got so long for 20 miles.
Exactly. Plus, if it's taking 8 hours per car, that could be a while.
So in their quest to build a coast-to-coast EV charging network, GM, EVgo, and Pilot announced that they have installed electric vehicle chargers at 130 locations across 25 states. The partnership, which launched in 2022, aimed to install 2,000 DC fast chargers at 500 Pilot and Flying J truck stop locations nationwide. In a press release, the company said that the expanded charging network will make road trip plans easier as EV adoption grows and drivers prepare for spring and summer travel. But I'm not sure. Hold on. EV vehicle sales.
Well, also, forget it if you're in the other 25 states.
Yeah, correct. Yeah. As you deviate away from those 25 states, 50% of the United States is out of reach. So EV sales, it says here, have seen significant growth within the U.S. market, experiencing a surge, especially in 2024, reaching a record 1.7 million EVs sold, a 21% increase from 2023. So I don't know about that. Q1 2024 slowdown. While EV sales grew overall in 2024, some analysts noted a slowdown in the growth in Q1 2024, with Tesla's sales taking a hit. But how do they say that it had significant growth in 2024 while still stating that there was a slowdown?
Because it could have been like something like 20% growth. I don't think it was, but
and now it's 19.
Then it went down
something.
to like 5% or whatever.
Right. Huh. All right. I'll have to look more into that one too, because statistics lie. So, but 130 locations of something that takes hours to charge. If this is what it looks like, you're screwed. There's 4 charging slots.
They're actually 100 miles apart or something. Forget it.
Umar should get, well, yeah, you have to pull over and wait 20 minutes to charge your car to get to the next charging spot where you have to stop, charge for 20 minutes. Anyway, Pilot says its charging infrastructure now stretches along I-75 between Michigan and Georgia, as well as highway routes between Minneapolis and Milwaukee, Detroit, Cleveland, San Antonio and Houston, and Dallas and Nashville. Locationally, the GM-backed charging network project is a little over a quarter of the way toward its goal. Hold on a second. I need to see something. Sorry, the silence is actually not silent because it's me typing. So a level 1 charger, not a supercharger, takes 24 plus hours to charge, typically. Level 2 charging, common at home and public stations, takes 4 to 10 hours. And DC fast chargers can add 100 miles of range in 30 minutes or less. So there's the bonus. But 100 miles of range in 30 minutes. Meanwhile, I can put 400 miles, nearly 400 miles on my car in 5 minutes.
Right. With a nice vehicle.
Yeah. So if I can only go 200 miles in an hour of charging, right? Because it's 100 miles for 30 minutes. What is your opportunity cost in relation to how much money you're putting in gas in an ICE vehicle? Anyway, And I understand
don't think that's a factor in any of this.
I understand that people want to save the planet, but you don't save the planet by upping the opportunity cost of every single thing on the planet because you have to sit around and wait for your EV to start up, to charge up enough. What you do is you ease the pain, the pressure on ICE vehicles and EVs by going hybrid, where you can put a little fuel in and it gets converted to electricity and charges the battery, and you have solar or use hydrogen and gas and whatever else you can come up with. Make it a mad scientist thing, but make it so that it's instantly usable. 5-minute fill up so that I'm not sitting there having to go and eat lunch every single time I want to charge my car. And that's, look, up to 350 kilowatt speed. We already know that most cars do not charge at 350 kilowatts. The supercharger always steps down to the lowest viable charging rate, and it's typically sub 350. And if the battery heats up too much, it drops down to like the the level 2 charging rate. So you're looking at 100 kilowatts to maybe 250 kilowatts. Anyway, it says that
it just all takes too long.
Yeah, it just takes too long. Yeah, they even talk about it. Level 2 is 3 to 6 hours, but my evidence shows 4 to 10 hours, so this is kind of bogus. Anyway, there's only two. It's only 2 stall pilot travel centers.
Vehicles.
4 vehicles. 1.6 million EVs were sold.
Well, the line's going to be kind of long.
Stupid. Anyway, that's our last article.
This is a good move. It just needs to be much more expansive, and they need to really think about other ways to charge.
And all this capital investment is surely not going to be recovered by higher and higher rates to power your vehicle. No. They don't want all of that exploitive pricing or anything. You're going to have to do surge pricing for your car. Wait until you have to bid.
Worse than the drive-through surge pricing. Oh,
wait till you have to bid to get that slot at this time slot, or you lose it.
Don't get them that idea. That's going to be like the DMV appointments.
So we're going to Yeah, there you go. That was in Florida, right? Or where was it? Was it Florida? Yeah, Miami, it's Miami. Yeah. There was an aftermarket reselling of DMV appointments. Ugh. You can find that article and a whole lot more.
A DMV appointment at the regular rate or whatever.
Why did you just punch me in the taint? Anyway, we're going to plug into our supercharger, which brings us back to the front page of ohmtown.com, where you should go and become a citizen. Hey, I did it wrong. There is the logo for ohmtown. Go and check it out. Be sure you can't see it, sentient AI, because you're air gapped, but I see it. It's right. Yeah, there you go. Anyway, go over to youtube.com/ohmtown. Follow us and like and subscribe and all of that kind of stuff, and hang out here on Twitch as well. We got both of the chats up and running, and I monitor them both. Only Omatron exists, though, on Twitch, but the show notes already have our articles embedded in that. So go and check it all out. In the meantime, Mayor Watt is out of here. I have mayoral duties to attend to, and I'm taking the sentient AI with me. You want to say bye, oh great AI?
Good night, ohmTown citizens. Thanks for joining us for today's Non Sequitur News. Be back tomorrow for another episode.
Bye, everybody.